Technically I taught you guys like 3 different methods for how to do this one, how to graph absolute value functions, but this is probably the easiest one. It does involve a little more work. There are more efficient methods that involve a little more thinking, but they're just a little faster, but unfortunately I'm not going to have time to cover all of them. So for the warm-up, I wanted to remind you guys what absolute value was. So for the absolute value of -2, we have 2. And for the absolute value of 4, we have 4. So this one became the opposite, and this one stayed the same. And the reason for that is absolute value is the distance between a number and 0. And right here I have, 2 circles because one of the questions I asked, if you run the track this way, did you just run a lap? You guys said yes. And I said, if you run it this way, did you run like a negative lap, or is that just still a lap? And you guys said it's still a lap. If I were to do this as a number line, if I have 0 here, and let's say I go to like 2 on this side, and I go to -2 on this side, they're both technically just 2 spaces away from 0, so the absolute value of both of them would be just 2. Because again, the important thing to remember with absolute value is the distance between a number and 0. Now, as far as graphing them, here's the method we use on this lesson. What we did is, I asked you guys to pick a couple coordinates, and one of the things that I asked for is I want to start kind of with this in the middle. If you have like the opposite of this number here, so if I have -2 here, you want to do 2 and then numbers around that. So down here we have 2 and we have a couple numbers around it, and ultimately if you just plug in the numbers, you do the math correctly, and you end up with these coordinates here, what you then do is you would graph these coordinates and then draw lines. And we did that in class, so this is us actually graphing those coordinates. We ended up with more on this side, but ultimately, absolute value functions always look like this. They look like V-shapes. Like I said, there are a couple of other methods I showed you guys, but I don't want to overwhelm you with having to review all of those. If you do happen to remember a different method, go ahead and use one of those. You can use this one as well. They're all going to get you the same answers, they're all going to get you the same graph, and ultimately, all I really care about is that you guys have the correct graphs. Good luck, guys.